Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lyds, and we're back for some more Thronebreaker, and I am extremely excited because we are now what appears to be at the end of Eddard. Looks like this is the last main quest encounter we have just before us here. We, of course, last time took down Vrigith, who had given us a little bit of a challenge before, but we actually found a way to take him out pretty easily this time around. We did, in the process, lower our morale, and we also gained a few extra recruits as we were going into town here and picked up a new and mysterious item to add to our deck. However, before we take on this encounter, we do have several shrines that we had saved up in case they were needed, and since all of them are still standing here unused, I guess we might as well go and at least set ourselves up to neutral high morale here, because I assume that this will be the last encounter. So, let's head back to this fast travel spot here, and just prepare ourselves accordingly. And if I remember correctly, when we were finishing up in Lyria, we saw that at the end it told us, just before we did the last encounter, this is the total number of chests in the area, and this is how many you've gotten, and so you got a sense of, oh, wait, hold on, I still have a chest left that I had not gotten. Or, oh, no, never mind, I'm all set, I'm all good, I've gotten everything here. No need to double back. So, we'll double check if there is anything that we've not yet taken. That sets us from low up to neutral morale. This one, we've been saving for a very long time. That's before Molderwood. And then the next one would be either this here, next to where we found Isbel, or, I mean, both of them. This one here next to Isbel, which was one of the challenges, one of the encounters that was most difficult for us, and then similarly here, where we encountered the more powerful Neckers, and both of those were the ones we had to wait quite a while before we were ready to take them on, so that's kind of fitting that there's a little bit of an extra reward there. And I feel like there may even be an achievement. Can we go up this way, or do we have to go the other way? I think this bridge is broken, yeah. We have to go down the southern route. But yeah, there may be an achievement for using a certain number of shrines, and I don't remember as to whether we've gotten that yet or not. We may have. But if we have not, then I may... Still weird that guy's there. But may go and take all 3 shrines, even if we technically only need 2 of those 3 in order to get ourselves up to high morale. But, you know, whatever, man. Is that a... Hold on a second. Almost looks like resources here. Oh, and apparently this would have been a better fast travel spot to use, but oh well. Yeah, so we have to go up this way. From this angle. Okay. Place that should look pretty familiar because we were here quite recently. But now we nab you. This should get us to high morale, which I assume is going to be relevant for this last encounter, but perhaps not. I think what we saw at the end of Lyria was an actual battle, not a puzzle or anything like that, giving us a custom deck. Actually, I think it gave us the several additional units because, well, a lot of stuff happened during that encounter, so not entirely sure what to expect here, but I am excited to see what we have in store. Okay, where was the other fast travel spot? It was around here somewhere. Was it not? Okay, hold on. Double check the map. I went past it. Yeah, it's right there. Might be better to actually go up the northern route from this angle then. Calm down, Scoia'tael. We've already taken out your leader. Okay, so that's why I think I may still go and grab this one real quick. Because I don't recall as to whether we have gotten that achievement or not, but I'm fairly certain that it does exist. I imagine that, you know, it's probably not one that you're going to need to make much of an effort to go out of your way to make it happen. If you play through the entire game, it's probably going to happen without having to give it much thought at all. But we might as well get it now if we can, or at least expedite the process as much as possible. Of course, in this case, we are at risk of, if there actually are numerous encounters, perhaps wasting a shrine when we don't need it. As you just saw, we're already in high morale, but, I mean, we spent so long in Eddern on low morale. I think much of Molderwood, much of the northern half of Eddern as well, all on low morale, so it weighed on us a bit, but to finally have high morale for at least what I imagine will be the final encounter is hopefully going to be a nice little advantage that we have in our back pocket. So, as I was saying, last time round, when we did the last encounter in Lyria, it was, well, quite the dramatic ordeal in which, you know, our son may have betrayed us and taken seat as the ruler of Lyria and Rivia and sided with the Nilfgaardians who were attacking those very nations, but, yeah, you know, details. Will something as dramatic happen this time? Only time will tell.
The Lyrians stood within 5 miles of Aldersberg, when the road, which until now they had travelled alone, suddenly filled with all manner of folk. Peasants, merchants, and wounded fighters in tattered uniforms. They trod solemnly in the opposite direction, their worldly possessions on their backs.
Aldersberg's fallen, my lady,
sighed one of the refugees with a forlorn shrug.
Outer walls breached. King still defends the old town, but black-clad goats are winning. You'd best turn back before it's too late.
We've nowhere to turn to, good man.
The queen said, then spurred on her horse.
Follow me.
Let's go.
The queen galloped so fast the wind squeezed tears from her eyes, the Lyrian cavalry close at her heels. Hoofbeats thundered down the high road, and the crowd of refugees parted, making a path for the charging riders.
Faster! Faster!
Soon they set eye on Aldersberg. A red glow filled the horizon. The wind carried screams and the clanking of steel. The once proud city was quickly turning to dust in the Nilfgaardian sun.
Not if we can help them.
The Nilfgaardian force moved to block the Lyrians' way. Without slowing, Meve cut down the infantryman who tried to drag her from her saddle with a hook. Her head in a winged helmet fell to the ground, leaving a bloody track.
Lyrians! Attack!
Meve shouted.
Take no prisoners!
Alright, we're going straight into things here. Okay, Aldersberg outskirts. Perhaps there are more than one encounter in this general area here. Let's see, the invading forces ignored the Lyrians at first. After all, the Nilfgaardians were better equipped, better trained, and, most importantly, held a considerable numerical advantage. However, their supremacy quickly began to vanish. Black-clad soldiers fell one after the other to the blows from Meve's infantry. The Nilfgaardian commander, watching in disbelief, trumpeted for reinforcements. A story of battle, standard battle. It's been a long time since our last standard battle. So, 2 out of 3, best 2 out of 3, and we just need to outscore them. May have some additional wrinkles in there, given how it is a story battle, but we shall see. Okay, so before we start choosing our cards, let's see if we can scout anything out here. Alba Pikeman, draw a copy of this unit. Well, they've already played it, so that deploy is not going to trigger, but Deathwish, discard all copies of this unit from hand and deck. Ooh, so we would love to destroy either one of these guys. Imperial Enforcers have return on turn start, boost adjacent units by 1 if this unit has armor. Okay, so it's not going to be quite as easy as it might initially appear. And then the Nilfgaardian Champion, damage an enemy unit by the number of your allied units. Oh, cooldown 3, so at least it's not doing it every turn, but that's very potent. So yeah, we definitely want to be piling on as much damage as we can. Means Skull could become a very big deal. So that's an intriguing option, especially because this is multiple rounds. So by round 3, when we have a ton of units in our graveyard, this could pack a really, really nasty punch. I do like Alger's Thunder because of all the damage. Still don't know what Bone Talisman does. We recently picked that up, but they haven't tried it yet, so we'll see. Reynard can help reset Black Rayla's ability to give us more cards out from our deck, which is nice. Gascon, combined with movement from the Slingers, would be useful as well. Not sure we're going to want the Alchemist here. We might be looking to instead prioritize just pure damage, and Cavalry are okay at that, but might prefer more Slingers instead, especially because we do have Gascon in hand, and he gets powered up from all the movement. So let's at least swap one of them out. Okay, good. I like the slingers. And remember that these redraws, they do not reset in between rounds. If I remember correctly. It's been a while. So that means that if we do use all of them now, we're not going to get them in between round 1 and round 2, or in between round 2 and round 3. So maybe we swap out this Alchemist and leave it at that. Okay, so we're more all in on the damage here.
Bloody hell. You shan't stop me. Not now.
Okay, so they do go first, which is unfortunate. Because if we had gone first, we could have immediately destroyed these Alba Pikemen, which is not quite the case. Unless we actually, if we go Scepter Storms, we can destroy one of them. Which would be useful. Stray Slinger could also do that. Or at least set up Stray Slinger plus Leader ability to make that happen. Is that the way we go right off the bat? I mean, on one hand, early stage cavalry is nice to maximize the damage from that. Or we can go Aldersberg Thunder for pure damage, but I think we want to save that. Yeah, I think we go Stray Slinger.
That bit the white of an eye from half a league away.
And I guess try to get you because you're a little bit weaker. And then we just take you out. And we'd love to see some cards get removed from their hand here. One, I think, from their hand, and at least one from their deck. So that's nice. And Scepter Storms would just get rid of your armor, which is probably not a huge deal here. So I think we'll leave it at that for now. Also, for what it's worth, the music, amazing. Love it. Magni Division. It's cool because all these cards exist in multiplayer as well. We've seen many of these before, but I don't know if we've seen Magni Division in Thronebreaker yet. After one turn start, summon a copy of this unit from your deck. Maybe we have. So yeah, this synergizes extremely well with their leader ability. They get more and more Magni Divisions out here, then it's gonna get to the point where it's gonna be really hard not to lose a unit every time they use their leader ability. So what's our plan for you? I mean, we could outright destroy you right off the bat with Aldersberg Thunder, but again, like to say this is an ace up our sleeve in case we see something that really looks like it needs answering. But I mean, then again, it's 10 damage and 5 damage to adjacent units. That'd be just enough damage for Magni Division. I mean, it's not even that much overkill. Like for there to be another adjacent unit here, but we at least get rid of most of the armor on that and pure enforcers. Is that good enough? It might be. Otherwise, Rayla would probably be, what, into... Maybe even go Rayla into Xavier, and then play Reynard to reset all of them. But that might be something we'd like to save for round 3 instead, since that is quite potent. Although it does help thin our deck a bit. We'll see, because I guess there's a chance we might just draw into Xavier, in which case it's not needed to use Rayla to get him. So, yeah, you know, we'll do it. So I think shutting down the Magni Divisions will be nice. I think that will be quite useful to us. Okay, well, it's summon a unit from your deck. Okay, so it's not like you're creating them out of thin air. You're getting them from your deck. It does seem as though you may have many of these in your hand. I am not so sure we can get rid of this one, though, unless take a chance on the Potent Talisman, but who knows what that does. Could go with Stray's Cavalry, and... just one turn, it's so fast. Wow. That is hard to answer. I guess if you have multiple Magni Divisions on the board, they would all summon, right? It's not like you're limited to just having one of these trigger per turn. So there is still reason to have gotten rid of the first one, but I was wondering, like, okay, is it inevitable that they're going to summon even more Magni Divisions? Because should have just gone, whatever, we'll just let it happen. There's nothing we can do to stop it, so don't worry too much about it. Maybe we go Slinger. We go Slinger. It's 2 damage. That'll get you down to a 4 with no armor. which means Scepter Storms can destroy you. Which is something. I mean, again, cavalry early is usually the way to go. Does this reset itself? Like, is this going to happen every single turn? Or does it just go off once and then that's it? So I am also eyeing trying to get you on the same amount of power as this Imperial Enforcers to set up a stronger leader ability. Maybe we do that.
The chase is on!
Still don't love it, but I am curious to see how exactly Magic Vision works. Also, it gets... Why did you get... Oh, you boosted it. Right. Okay. So... Is that your leader ability there? I guess it was. If we were to move you, you would go down to a 7. You have one more 7 on the board. It's another Magic Vision. Okay, so yeah, definitely good to know there are a lot of them. And it does not look as though they can repeat that ability. It's just a one-time thing. Also good to know. Thinking about the skull for round 2 or round 3, and how having the ability to move more cards into the same row to set up skull, since skull only affects one row at a time, yeah. So basically, get a bunch of units out here to maximize the damage on skull, and then use Slinger to get everything into the same row and take it all out with skull. That might be the answer we're looking for. So, it's not a huge play. But what if we double mark you? You'll go down to a 6, except you're going to get boosted by you. So do we want that? Or actually, no, you're going to go down to a 7 because you have 1 armor. And then some of these guys are going to be 7s as well. Yeah, I think 7's going to be our target. 7's going to be the number we're looking for. Oh, we still... too many turns remaining before we can get our leader ability back. We can use Scepter of Storms to destroy... Is it enough to destroy Scepter, to destroy Imperial Enforcers? It may be. That's 6. It's 2 damage per charge, right? So we have 8 damage, and then it would hit one of these guys. The thing is that it resets in between rounds, right? Yeah, repeat until charges are... Wait, every turn start, on round end. Yeah, set charges to 0. Exactly. So we want to make sure that we at least use it at some point here, otherwise it's just free damage that we aren't using. So... a question of, do you do it now or do you do it later? If we do it later, then what are we going to play on our next turn? Because I'm not loving what we have here. Unless Bone Talisman, I mean, maybe we try Bone Talisman on our next turn. Sure. We'll hold off just a little bit here. Okay, so they have tons of 7s, which is why I would love to have our leader ability back. But unfortunately, we do not. We need one more turn before that becomes an option. Now that they have a unit next to this Imperial Enforcers, there is reason to get rid of it, more so than there was previously. So, that's one potential answer. The other question is just, what the heck does Bone Talisman do? Does it change every time? Is it totally random, the effect? Is it like a random trinket effect, and you just never know? We're gonna find out. Moves every unit on the board. Boosts us by 2, damages them by 2. That's gonna be an amazing boost for Gascon. Obviously, if we knew that was going to be the case, then would have been even better to have saved it for when there were even more units on the board, but, I mean, we'll take it. And now that means Scepter of Storms would go after, still you, yes, but it's definitely enough to take you out, and then it would shift over to, I think, you, right? Yep. Okay, I think we go for that. I mean, I don't know if this is going to be enough, but it's interesting. And we now have a little more information about that talisman. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's going to do that same thing every time or not.
Life is mine now.
Okay, I mean, their power is certainly starting to add up here. We do have our leader ability back for what it's worth, because they have a lot of 7s that could be fairly potent. It's just that I'm not sure that we have any cards that I want to play right now, because most of these are cards that I'd like to save for a subsequent round, since Rayla and Reynard definitely go together, and Stray Slinger and Gascon definitely go together, and the longer we wait until we play Gascon, the stronger he's going to be. So, ooh. If we were to keep on playing, would we... I guess we could go Rayla plus Reynard? I guess we can. I guess we can. We have reason to row stack or not row stack. I don't think it matters too much here.
Enough chit-chat. Draw your weapon.
Okay. And this is largely just to give us an excuse to actually use our leader ability here when they're all on 7. And these guys will also deal damage whenever we do that. Use our leader ability, so that's nice. Not enough to get rid of either of you, but it's close. It is close. Okay, they do enough damage to get rid of both, actually, of our cavalry. Strength itself by 2 whenever enemy unit appears in the ranged row. That's odd, but okay. And that was a big turn for them, for sure. How many cards do we each have? You have 2. We have 4? Oh, wow. Okay, so that's actually... That does bode well for round 2 and round 3. We'll have card advantage, yes. But can we still win in this round? I mean, we want to absolutely combine Rayla with Reynard. So I think we definitely want to make sure that we're at least taking one more turn to activate you. And it's probably going to be Xavier. This is, of course, one of, if not our biggest combo.
We shall achieve our goal.
Because then we can reset Rayla, and then use Rayla, and potentially Isbel. We've definitely taken damage. Why does that say 0? Does it not update while she's in our deck for some reason? That would be weird. Not entirely sure what to make of that. Bomber, of course, would be nice early. It's a little late for that, but there are a lot of cards in this row. Maybe it's still worth doing that. Alternatively, I mean, what would we be going for? Alchemist. Not great on our side. We could potentially do that to weaken some of their cards, but just don't... Hold on. Set unit equals the unit on its left. So no, that would be bad in this case. Would make you more powerful, so yeah, that's not a great option either. I think it probably is going to be to set a row on fire. I think that is what we're going to go for.
This could hurt.
Set this on fire. Again, the earlier the better would have been. Just was initially planning to save Rayla for round 3. But then we go Xavier again on Rayla. And this time, we'll go for... we could go Slinger. It does give us some carryover if we're planning on saving our Reynard, or rather our Gascon for round 3. Yeah, and especially in a short round, which is looking like that's going to be the case. It can just be a quick point slam that we've already set up. So if we move you guys, that makes this melee row very much going to be hurting from all the fire. And, I mean, we can get rid of actually both of those guys with Scepter of Storms, which is quite tempting. So I think we probably do go that route. And we can still, we've yet to actually play a card. That was all for, or you have to play a card from our hand. That was all using Xavier plus Rayla. But we go Reynard now.
Discipline shall bring us victory.
And we use this again. And, I mean, at this point, we're basically just thinning out all the cards that we no longer want. So, sure, we'll go Cavalry. And just mark, really, anybody at this point, I guess. Maybe cards that are on higher amount of power that we can potentially line up with the other units for leader ability, although I doubt we're going to end up using that in this round again. So that looks good. And then Xavier, Rayla, again, for another one of those, and I think it's probably still the same thing. Either that or we could use the Alchemist as a bit of a throwaway, but could make the Stray's Cavalry an 11 based on Reynard. Something. But I don't know that that's great. It'd mostly just be for getting rid of this, what would normally be one of our weaker cards, at least in this encounter, it seems. So, maybe we just go with another Cavalry. especially because, yeah, given how many cards we've been playing in this round, it seems like next round is definitely going to be quite short. So we do that, then probably do Scepter Storms to deny them the order abilities and therefore the damage on those Arbalists. Yes, there's a chance those would have gone down to the fire, but no way of knowing definitively. They pass. And that's big, because that means we win round 1 with 1 card advantage and a card that has already been powered up a lot. Not to mention, Skull, with all these units that are about to go into our graveyard, will also be very strong. So we win round 1. And I'm very much thinking we are going to push for round 2 as well. And this is what I was talking about. We've played so many cards out from our deck that we are pretty certain what we're going to get here. Isbell, okay, yeah, for whatever reason, it wasn't showing how much her order ability was worth while she was in her deck, but it's 33, which is huge. So that's really nice. Skull, at this point, with how many cards do we have, how many units do we have in our graveyard? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12... 12 damage to every card in a row. That's why I think the Slingers are going to be really big. Just make sure that we have all of their cards, or at least as many cards as we can possibly get in the same row to set up Skull, and once we do that, it's going to hit like a truck. Alchemist may not be the best option for us, especially if we still have some Stray Slingers in our deck. Yeah, that might be worth using them. How did you guys end up back into our deck? Huh? That's weird. Or a Stray's Bomber, for that matter. Yeah, I do think Slinger is perhaps the best option for us to set up Skull and make Gascon more powerful, so let's go for this. Okay, and we're going first. So... I'm thinking... I guess the Alchemist could have worked well to set up another card to be as powerful as Gascon. That could have worked, yeah. But... they don't have anything to move yet, so Slingers don't make much sense. We could play an early Gascon, because he will still get boosted from future movement, even once he's on the board. So that might be the safest play. The other thing would potentially be Isbell. They are on cooldown with their leader abilities, so this might be a relatively safe time to play her. So I'm thinking we might try to sneak her in.
Make love, not war.
Discipline. That is what you
Okay.
folk lack.
No damage, which means Isbell does have time to give a humongous boost to Knickers, in all likelihood. So I think we determined that she does not ever boost herself. So, I mean, we could try to wait to see if we're going to take more damage. It's certainly possible. And then make Isbell stronger, but since she's on just 4 power, she is definitely vulnerable. So, I think either way, the card we're playing now is almost certainly going to be Gascon. You could make the case for deliberately using Isbell before playing Gascon, putting all of those boosts on Knickers, because Knickers has immunity, so it can't be manually targeted by our opponent, and therefore might prevent them from shutting down, which is our strongest card. So I think we do go that route, and just make Knickers a huge, huge dog. And then, Scepter of Storms, I think we'll wait on this. Let's go Gascon next.
And just when you thought things were about to get dull.
Right, we wanted to put this in the melee row because you're going to get boosted or strengthened whenever we play something in the range row. It's 2 points, shouldn't be much of a factor. We are definitely going to now try... yeah, see, they're going to go after Isbell to the greatest extent possible. We're going to try to put as many cards in the same row as we can, and as many of their cards in the same row as we can. So... oh, we also have our leader ability, which I kind of sort of totally forgot about. So this is 2 damage. The thing is, we're going to move one of you to one row, and the other one to the other row, so it's not really going to stack you up any more than we've already stacked you up.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
But we can do that. And then, what are we more concerned about taking out? Next time an enemy uses its order ability, boosts self by 2 and gain 2 armor. Fortunately for us, we do have mostly deploy abilities, technically speaking. Our leader ability is an order ability. Next time an enemy, does that mean enemy unit, or does that mean leader ability included? It might mean leader ability included. I don't think you're much of a threat long-term, as long as we're not silly and, you know, like units in the range row. So, we're not gonna have time to get this off cooldown anyway, so we might as well wait to see if you have anything else that's gonna be 6 power. We could have destroyed you actually with Scepter of Storms. Well, except this is also technically in order, so maybe not. But okay, before we use Scepter of Storms or a Stray Slinger, let's go leader ability because, as expected, yes, they do have more 6 power units. So does the armor get added? It looks like it does, but it gets added after the fact. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. So Scepter of Storms can get rid of you, and since you gain armor afterward, it means it's definitely enough. Or it would have been enough even if you gained armor before. So, okay. I guess it may still be better to move you first with a Stray Slinger, though. And now we do this. Take you out. Almost take you out. Guess we could have waited a little bit in that case on our next turn. It might have been sufficient. I mean, they just aren't going to have enough points here. They are not really playing anything big.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
So it's just not a huge factor, even if we're trying to line up their cards, which we haven't really been able to do because we've been destroying all of them, or most of them. And so, technically, this is net 0 since... Or no, we have 2 charges now. So, yeah, that should be enough to take you out. It will boost you in the process, but then that means we can use Skull on this row, and with a bunch of units in our graveyard, it should hit really hard. Technically, we've already won, but, you know, for good measure. Do that. Wait, hold on. Pick a specific card. Banish any number of units. Oh, any number of units. Oh. I thought it just banished all of them. I mean, obviously, we are going to banish all of them. And annihilate you. And call it a match.
All that was but their rear guard.
That was nothing. That was no big deal.
The Lyrians managed to scatter the Nilfgaardian battalion, one of many besieging Aldersberg. Their scouts brought before the Queen a prisoner freed from the invaders.
Oh?
Meve inquired about the situation in the city.
Turned the right slaughterhouse it has. The Imperials, they... King had the city cleared, my lady, but didn't budge himself. Holding out with his guard in Old Town, walls still standing there. Said he'd fight to the end, come what may.
Okay, so it sounds like the king is still there, even if everyone else has fled. And so, I mean, maybe, on one hand, that's a bad thing. He's very much in a dangerous position extremely dangerous position right now, but it also means, if we're quick, we might be able to help him.
Meve weighed her options. The situation looked dire. Demavend, to whom she had come for help, needed help himself.
True.
Nilfgaard enjoyed an overwhelming advantage. The small Lyrian detachment stood no chance of breaking the siege. But to retreat, surrender, that was not something Meve did.
The
Surely not.
Do not expect a relief force. Rayla, you know Aldersberg. Can you lead us by side streets to the Old Town, that we may avoid the largest part of the Nilfgaardian army?
Alright.
The warrior nodded, and without waiting for any further orders, strode out in front of the party. Reynard followed her with his gaze, clearly troubled.
And what then, Your Majesty? We burst into the lion's den and...
And we pray the lion chokes. Follow me!
Okay. Sure. That sounds like a great plan. Alright, well, we have at least a little bit of time here, it seems. To loot up a bit. And perhaps chat with more of the locals as well.
Crushed and breached. The lower town in flames. Hundreds, thousands wounded. Thousands more fled. King Demavend will fight to the end. He'll save the city or die with it.
That much does seem true.
Turn back. Turn back while you've the strength to run, while you have your life.
Aldersberg falls! Aldersberg is lost!
Not so fast. Not so fast. The Nilfgaardians were not expecting us.
The walls crushed and breached.
Okay.
The lower town in flames.
I think we've heard this one, though.
Hundreds,
So,
thousands wounded.
that was the first component of what actually turns out to have been a multi-component attack on Aldersberg, or at least us fending off those who are attacking Aldersberg. And notably, although we did spend all of our shrines to get here, or on our way over here, and we were saying, you know, technically we're wasting one because we're already in high morale, I do notice that we're still on high morale even after that encounter, so I'm not entirely sure why that is. Maybe it was just an inspiring victory, and in which case I guess I'll take it, but does raise some questions. Okay, let's see. Another fast travel spot here, right at the end, and we have this spot, looks like the Nilfgaardian encampments, and this looks like the final location that I was expecting that encounter to be. We got a little bit of a prelude, perhaps, to what we are expecting to run into here. But let's see what this is. Smelt of elderberries! Love it. Absolutely love it. Already automatically my favorite NPC. Well done. Well done. I see your Monty Python quotes, and I applaud thee. Well, with that being said, I think this is a good place for us to wrap up here. I'd expected that we were about to run into the last encounter in Eddern. Looks like, well, of course, we had one more before we actually had the final one, but surely this spot right here is the one that we have been waiting for. And fortunately, we are still on high morale, so I think we are in primed position to take on those Nilfgaardians and hopefully successfully fend them off and save Demavins, and, you know, maybe he'll look to return the favor soon after that. But either way, I'll catch you next time.